The Rust Armourer is guilty of involuntary manslaughter in the fatal shooting of Helena Hutchins. Defendant, Hanaguchi Ozurides is not guilty of evidence tampering, which is interesting, I think. Interesting she's not been found guilty of evidence tampering. I do wonder whether that's something they'll get Alec Baldwin on, because he very clearly tampered with evidence as per his own sort of statements and what happened to the gun, because it was randomly in pieces. But this is an interesting. Did anyone watch any of the footage of this trial? Because it was a shit show. At one point, a gun expert pointed a gun at the judge without telling anyone that it was empty or showing anyone that it was empty. At one point, an imaging expert, was paid $10,000 to brighten an image and make it less, to make it less blurry, but all they did was brighten it and it was made more blurry.
Oh boy.
Like zoom and enhance?
It was, honestly, you'd probably get more unblur out of the AI on a Google Pixel phone, because that's part
Which
of
then it would be inadmissible anyway.
Yeah, because it fills in.
The whole thing was a joke. Absolutely unbelievable. Did none of you watch any of this trial?
Not much of it.
Yeah, I watched a little of it. But
fucking knew it!
It is.
Some people owe me an apology. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't think so, because Alec Baldwin's still going to be up as well
in July.
That's true, but saying.
Well, I don't think anyone. No, the thing about this is this could have gone either way, right?
I could never get one.
Get what?
I went through shit because I said that this was the bitch that was going to get it. She is the one at fault, but nobody wants to give me credit as usual. It's fine.
No, you deserve that credit, Tom.
You deserve the credit for accurately.
You should have seen the arguments I had with people.
Okay,
yeah, but that's fine. I guess the point I'm trying to make, right, is that there are two sides to this coin. So there are some people that view, some people that know about movies, and they will go, well, Alec Baldwin's not technically at fault because on a movie set, they're not responsible for safety. He got handed it. There's a whole chain of events, etc. And then some people would say, well, no, because they're the sort of the gun wielding side, who are familiar with gun safety on the broader aspect, would say, well, no, he's responsible because ultimately he has it. And there's multiple ways to sort of run this argument, is there? There's moral levels, there's an ethical level. It really is dependent on where you fall on the spectrum, on all of these things, as to who and what you think would be justice in this scenario. I don't personally think this is justice, primarily, even though she's gone down, because she's the maximum time she can serve was 18 months and fined a few $1,000s.
Has she not served that already? So she'd be free to go pretty much right away?
No, I don't think so. No, she's not served anything.
Okay, yeah. Well.
No, she's not served anything. She could potentially, and this is only the maximum, right? Potentially receive 18 months and a several $1,000 fine. But it's not really much. It's dependent where you sit on it, isn't it? At the end of the day, because there are some people will think Alec Baldwin 100% because he held the gun. It's his job to check it, etc. Although unfortunately, on a movie set, how things transpire.
Yeah, that's basically what those people forget, because this is something that we have heard several times over, and this is something that Tom is also referring to. On a movie set, this is not supposed to be a live gun, and on a movie set, Alec Baldwin or any actor is really not allowed to inspect that gun anymore. They are supposed to trust that the gun that they are handed has already gone through every single test that it is supposed to have gone tested through. It's supposed to be finished, and then after they have used it for the scene, they're supposed to give it back to the armorer. Everything else is the armorer's responsibility. So everyone who's saying that, he should have checked them. In general, with a live gun, yes, this is not a live gun. Wasn't supposed to be. It's a movie set. Different rules apply. And I can't stand Alec Baldwin, but this is the thing that people have to keep in mind, no matter how much one may want to see him go down. which a point of view I'm not unsympathetic towards. But the fact of the matter is that if another actor had been handed the gun and was supposed to do the same thing, the exact same thing would have happened. They were handed a live gun by the armorer. That's a real issue in this particular case.
Funny thing is I happened to tune into the case live at the exact moment where basically they said, whose responsibility is this? And it all boiled down to her, right? And that's the thing that I've been saying from the top. Now, Alec Baldwin, you're 100% correct. If he had just kept his goddamn mouth shut, he wouldn't be facing any trouble whatsoever. That's what I've been saying from the start. The evidence tampering and some of the other bullshit that he's done since, that's what's going to get his ass into trouble now, right? If he had just kept his mouth shut, then nothing would have happened to him because it all falls on her. It is her job. That is literally her job. She is a licensed armorist, right? That is what they're there for. It's kind of hard to make the other side of the argument. And I totally get the passion side of it. If you're a gun person, if you dislike Alec Baldwin, all those things like Andre just said, I agree. I think he's a piece of crap. But that has nothing to do with the fact of the matter that this was her job. And from everybody that I talked to that actually knows her and knows her dad and everything about the system, said that she did it wrong. And she is incompetent. And in fact, I've heard some really bad things about her that I'm not even going to get into on here because it has nothing to do with this case. But that's the point is that
she's just a degenerate, isn't she? Basically?
She was unqualified for this job. Period.
She shouldn't have been there. Yeah.
No.
So basically, you have the worst possible combination of nepotism and a diversity hire because she managed to be both at the same time.
Yeah.
And she should never have been
100%. 100%. I mean, the thing is,
and I get it. All these people are throwing the gun rules. That's her job. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's not the actor's job. It's not.
Yeah, movie sets are very, very different. And loads of people always, as well, also just as an FYI, people will go, "Well, why was a gun on set?" It is a prop, even though it can.
The bigger question is why was there live rounds on set, and that's what points back to her.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, though, I guess, for people that are wondering, because people go, "Well, a prop gun shouldn't be able to fire." No, a prop just means that you're using it as a prop. It can still be, you can get a real blade out and it could stab you, but it's a prop in a movie, right? And this is the same thing with this gun. Is yes, it's being used as a prop, but it's still a real gun. That's kind of the point. So just to explain, I guess, to people that.
Here's the thing: in order for a gun to be able to fire a blank, it will also be able to fire a real round. I mean, the difference between a blank and a real round is basically one is just going to explode in the chamber, the other one is actually going to fire a projectile. But if it can do one, it can do the other. So yeah, this is what people need to understand. Normal gun rules don't apply, not in this situation.
Yeah. And again, we don't know. The live rounds are the issue, right?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of things are the issue. The live rounds being on set are an issue, obviously. The fact that live rounds got into a gun and wasn't checked is an issue. There's multiple levels. There's multiple levels.
Well, what I found interesting, and again, just to toss something in here like Tom did, there was a point in time where an OSHA inspector actually said that she didn't have time to clear all the rounds that were going to be used on the shoot. That's what an OSHA inspector.
Well, then she needs to walk off set and say, "Well, then I cannot do my job, and then you cannot do this shoot." Then she has still failed.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's because she was also doubling as assistant to props master. That's what she was also doing as well, which came out way early on. I remember covering that a while back. And this was because they wanted to. There was a previous armorer that they did want to hire, and he point blank refused and said, "No, because you want me to do two different jobs. Can't do that. I won't be able to do it." I remember this coming out because this has been going on for a long time now.
Yeah.
That came out a while ago. And so that's why, that's the issue, is that this whole thing is a consequence of terrible budgeting, terrible, budgetary constraints, awful management on set, which an argument could be made some of that is actually Alec Baldwin's fault because he is an executive producer on the movie.
Yeah,
and loads of people try and escape that fact by saying, well, he didn't have decision making. Of course he did. Shut up. Like, of course he was making decisions on set.
Okay, this is the Alec Baldwin vehicle. This movie could not have happened without him. So he is probably the ultimate shot caller in many things, and to the extent of which he has any culpability here, it's that it has in the power as the producer. That's where he is culpable, not for actually firing the trigger.
And the best thing he's got sitting in his lap right now is this, because that's basically going to be his defense. Well, it's her job. I hired her to do this job. She's a licensed armorist. As far as I knew, she knew how to do her job.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's basically what it's going to boil down to. And the other stuff is what's going to sink him. And that's what I've been saying all along is the talking to the public, whether he tampered with some evidence or whatever, all that stuff is going to come back to haunt him. That's the thing that's going to be the thing. Because if he had just stayed out of it, kept his mouth shut, nothing would have happened to him, even as a producer. Because I said, the only precedent we have for this is the Crow case, right? And nobody got in trouble for that because it was pure accident. This was a little different because you actually had live rounds on the set that should not have been there in the first place. Yeah.
This is complacency. Complacency costs lives when you're dealing with guns. And the thing about this is as well is that his actions, again, what you're referencing, there's so many stuff that he did.
Right.
So much stuff. I mean, at one point, they had a warrant out for his phone, and so he just went to a different state. And he was like, no, you're not getting my phone. But I'm definitely cooperating with them.
Yeah, his actions are the worst part. Exactly.
Like, all of his actions were a fundamental breakdown of cooperation, and it all reeked of hiding something real scummy. It was really weird. Oh, no, I'm definitely cooperating. No, you're not, mate. You've gone to a different state. So they can't get your phone. What's on your phone? Like, what are you doing? It was so bizarre. The whole thing was bizarre. Really, really weird. So there you go. I mean, look. Alec Baldwin gets his trial in, when is it, like July or something like that? So it'll be interesting to see what happens. She gets a sentencing hearing at some point. I mean, even Baldwin's not going to get a lot if he gets down. Only 18 months. He won't go behind bars for that either.
I wonder if some of the other stuff would be worse, though. That's the thing, and that's what I was getting at. Like, like, even if he had, let's just say, in a worst case scenario, had he kept his mouth shut and they did actually decide to go after him with a involuntary manslaughter, like you just said, at that point he's only facing like 18 months. I'm sure like evidence tampering and stuff like that holds a much worse sentence than that. That's what I'm wondering here, is he's going to get himself in more trouble just because of the other crap.
He really has put himself in a bad place. And by claiming that he never pulled the trigger was probably the most foolish thing.
He should have never talked about it, period, in public.
No.
So it's like all examiners of the gun were like, yeah, that's a lie. You absolutely pulled the trigger. Like, you have to have pulled the trigger.
It was a huge mistake.
God, what a joke. What a joke. So there you go. I'm not going to say this is justice.
Me either.
I don't think this is justice, no matter who goes down for it, quite frankly. Just mainly because of what the sentencing is. I mean, 18 months is nothing. I'd
like to know how she got her license to begin with, right? And I'm curious how much of it's a DEI situation.
Well, a lot, I'd imagine. But yeah, so like I was saying, 18 months is, for either of them, it's not great. A little boy has lost his mother. A husband has lost his wife. It's brutal. It's not, I wouldn't say it's justice no matter who goes down for it, quite frankly. So thoughts, is it justice or not? And we'll sort of wrap this up unless anyone's got anything else to say.
There's no justice in this case right here, because as you said, someone is dead, and a husband lost his wife, and a boy lost his mother. That can never ever be replaced. And there are various conspiracy theories and stuff like that about how Baldwin may have wanted to because of some project she was working or something. I don't know about that, but most likely this was just a random freak accident brought on by a DEI diversity hire that should never ever have been there in the first place, a replacement Oddmother, because the real one didn't want to work under these conditions, and frankly, nor should she have. If you're in the position where you can't do your job and you're going to be held accountable if you for not having done your job, but the conditions that mean that enable you to do your just aren't there, so you're being set up to fail. Walk out, because you've been set up to fail. And that's what she needed to have done. She needed to do what the original Armored was actually did, which is to say, I can't do this. I cannot guarantee safety here, and just walk off the set and deal with whatever repercussions there was, because you can always argue in arbitration, but the conditions for me working on the Capataz just wasn't there. As it is right now, probably this was just a horrendous accident. It can never be justice. It's just one of those things where shit happens and one just has to move on. It's just a tragedy for everyone involved, including the Oddmother who should have been there. Sending her to jail, what's that going to do? It's going to ruin her life even more than it already is. It's not going to bring anyone else back. It's like, what consolation is that for those that lost a wife and mother? Oh yeah, well, the woman who didn't mean for this to happen, at least her life was destroyed. What kind of consolation is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, Alec Baldwin, let's be real, his career is pretty much dead. That's the big thing that's going to hurt him the most. He's going to try, but I don't think he's going to get anywhere. As far as her, I mean, I think Andre's 100% correct. She shouldn't have been there in the first damn place, whether she was there because of who her daddy was or she was there because of DEI. Frankly, it's just a sad situation. And as I brought up the last time we talked about this, I believe, more accidents happen on sets than you realize. More people get hurt than you realize. This is not so much of an isolated incident as it's just the rare incident where somebody actually dies.
Yeah. I mean, the last person that did die was Brandon.
In this way, yes. But just a couple years ago, like, we had the stunt woman who died in the making of Deadpool 2. You had the assistant director who died during the making of the Allman Brother movie. I mean,
literally a couple of weeks back, someone died on Wonder Man.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, this happens all the time. You had that one lady on the set of the Batwoman that got damn near killed. Yeah. So, I mean, again, these things happen. And unfortunately, sometimes it's absolutely nobody's fault. But in this case, it was technically somebody's fault. And you got to kind of take Baldwin out of the equation. And I know that's tough for gun people to do. But when it comes to being a producer, yes. And the tampering part, that's a whole nother conversation to be had. At the end of the day, this boiled down to, this was her job. She was a licensed armorist. This is what she is meant to do. If she can't even do that one simple thing, then yeah, this is why she got in trouble. Is it justice? No. Like Andre pointed out, the sad truth of the matter is, a man lost his wife. A child lost his mother. The industry lost a friend. It's sad, and nobody's going to recover from this at the end of the day, right? Especially the family. So again, like I pointed out, it doesn't matter if Baldwin goes to jail or not. His career is fucking dead.
Oh yeah.
So
100%. Well, there you go, ladies and gents. We will shuffle on now. So real quick, Israel R dropped in with a super chat over on Streamlabs for $10. Says, hello everyone, donating in advance for demonetization and those awesome Tom rants. Thank you so much. Andre, it was great to see you at Doomcock's stream yesterday. Was the armorer a DEI hire in the Ross case? Cheers. So,
that's what I was asking you.
Yeah, probably. Probably a mix
nepotism.
of nepotism and DEI. So you have the worst of both worlds. Because when her dad already is an established armorer in Hollywood, and she does what he does, and she has very spotty track record and stuff like that, and she got hired anyway. That reeks of two things. One, nepotism. Like, for instance, if So that's the foot in the door. But if this armorer had had an equally untalented son, would he have been able to get those opportunities? I'm not so sure. I think, okay, so here we have an untalented woman. We'll do him a favor if we hire. Plus, it's a girl, so we get to now we have like more people working behind the scenes, so that gets us to our 40% quota. I think there's an element of that too.
Yeah, I think to a degree. I mean, I think given who her father is, I think they boil.
To a degree is all that's needed. Like this combination of the two, nepotism.
Yeah.
But again, if that armor has an untalented son, and they have a quota, they need to bring in more women. Well, maybe we're sorry, sir. Maybe we can work with your son in another time, but I don't think this time works because we need to fill in our quota.
Yeah.
I think it's the two.
Yeah.
I don't know that, but I think so.